Hello and welcome to the Vaults of Terra. My name is Ed and today we're going to be having a look at the Tau, specifically having a look at their caste system. Now, in order to understand the caste system of the Tau, you have to have a brief look at the Taos history. Now, it is short compared to that of the other races that they share the galaxy with. However, in 3,000 years, the Tau have gone from a minor power on the eastern galactic fringe to a major power contesting for control of the east of the galaxy. Their history is tied to the greater good, a philosophy that rules their lives and their empire. They follow this philosophy through the adherence to a rigid caste system, which we will be discussing in this video. To offer context to the Tau before the caste system was put in place, we have to look to an event known as the Monta'u, translating roughly as the Age of Terror, literally the Terror or the Death Age. In this time, the Tau were fighting amongst themselves, the different tribes of the Tau fighting at first over trade routes and eventually over possible alliances with other tribes and their preservation or extension of their new borders. The Tau were not yet technologically advanced, only having access to primitive firearms and artillery, their battles devolving into bloodbaths where the victor was almost indistinguishable from those they had defeated. Combined with the tens of thousands dying regularly on the battlefield, these charnel fields helped spread a myriad of deadly diseases and plagues, ravaging the civilian population and threatening to destroy the Tau before they ever came close to achieving spaceflight, let alone unity. The end seemed inevitable, and when odd lights appeared in the sky, many of the Tau believed they prophesied the end of the world. Then, during a great siege, a strange Tau appeared to the leaders of both sides, the besieged and the besiegers. These Tau had an aura of calm command that compelled these opposed Tau to cease their hostilities and meet in peace. At the meeting, these new Tau introduced themselves as ethereals, and explained that the tribes of the Tau, whilst moderately different in appearance and abilities, were all one people, and if their skills were efficiently harnessed, then the discord could be ended. All the Tau would be uplifted if they were willing to follow these new castes for the greater good. As this meeting took place, so did many others across the Tau homeworld, and as one, the Tau opted to follow the ethereals in their new concept, this greater good, and assembled themselves into the 5 castes that exist today. Each caste was named after an element of nature and symbolised the supposed abilities and temperament of the Tau who exist in each caste. A caste is determined by a Tau's bloodline, and only members of the same caste may breed with one another to keep their bloodlines pure. It is considered impossible for one to change their caste, and it is a violation of the greater good to try and do so. The first caste to mention is the caste, known in Gothic as the Fire Caste. The Fire Caste are the main combatants of the Tau Empire, with their soldiers also being known as the Fire Warriors, and the most common type of Tau on the battlefield. The Fire Caste has been bred to be the strongest and most combat capable of the Tau, as well as the most aggressive. Any weak strains or traits are said to have been bred out of the Fire Warriors long ago. Their origins are on the plains of their homeworld Tau, where they were nomadic hunters and fierce warriors. The Fire Warriors have spent their whole lives either preparing for the battlefield or on it, constantly training and developing tactics to fight the numerous enemies on their borders. They have a higher muscle mass than most other Tau, although this varies depending on what world the Fire Caste member was born on. The Fire Caste's actions are guided by the Code of Fire, a doctrine and philosophy encompassing loyalty, martial arts, and merciless war tempered by the wisdom of the ethereals. Most Fire Warriors rise through the ranks systematically. If they survive 4 years of active duty as a chassela, they will undertake the first trial of fire, which can be anything from gladiatorial duels to a trial of constant combat over an extended period of time, depending on the skills of the particular fire warrior. If the chassela survives, they are promoted to the rank of chassui, or veteran rank. After this, every 4 years they will undergo another trial of fire, allowing them to access new roles and even a greater chance of becoming a battlesuit pilot, the ultimate goal of most fire warriors. It is a rare honour to wear the Herexevra, or the Mantle of Heroes, and those that do are considered some of the mightiest of the Fire Caste. Once obtaining the rank of O, the Fire Caste member may retire from active service and become a military advisor for the Tau military command structure. This is the only way a Tau warrior may leave the military other than through death. The next caste to be mentioned is the Fire Caste, known as the Earth Caste in Gothic, and is the largest caste in the Tau Empire. They are descended from the earliest city builders on the world of Taos, and who were known as the bastions of civilization long before the arrival of the Ethereals. They are the labour caste of the Tau, although that is a gross generalisation of the Earth Caste's duties. They are responsible for all the manufacturing, agricultural, industrial, artisanry and engineering that takes place in the Tau Empire, from constructing the armour worn by the Fire Caste to the toys made for Tau children and the ships flown by the Air Caste pilots. They also construct the Tau's dwellings, provide food to feed the population, and even research new technologies used by the Empire. The Tau of the Earth Caste are called plain, dour, and stoic by the other castes, being the realists in the Tau culture. However, they are the ones who have helped drive them to the greater heights, supporting the weight of the Empire's needs on their broad backs. The next caste to be mentioned is the Core or Air Caste. These are the Tau's pilots and travellers. They use the Core Vata, the Empire's war and merchant fleet, to hold the ever-growing Empire together. They also operate the Tau's orbital cities and fortress stations spread throughout the Empire. They are also known as the Invisible Caste, as they are rarely seen on planets, preferring to remain aboard their vessels and in orbital cities where the majority of their caste make their home. The Air Caste are the tallest and most slender of the Tau, with long, skinny limbs and hollow bones thanks to their lives spent almost completely in low or zero gravity. During the Monta'u, the Air Caste were unique for the membranes that stretched from their arms to their legs, allowing them to glide across the skies, carrying messages and scouting enemies from the air. Though the Air Caste has lost its membraned wings over time, they are still known as superior pilots, with instinctive knowledge of flight combined with superior vision and high tolerance to high G acceleration that put most other species pilots to shame. The last of the larger castes is the Paw or Water Caste. The members of this caste support the flow of trade and information in the Empire, and are slender, using fluid movements combined with great linguistic and diplomatic skills to calm almost all those they interact with. They act as the Empire's traders, merchants, public servants, bureaucrats, administrators, diplomats, and ambassadors, flowing between many roles like the water they are named for, connecting the government of the Empire into one cohesive unit. In terms of non-military power, the Water Caste has some of the greatest power beneath the Ethereals themselves, and the actions of the Water Caste can have wide-ranging effects and repercussions for the whole of the Tau Empire. They serve as ambassadors to other races, including at times the Imperium of Man, and also are the administrators of most of the Tau's worlds. It is the Water Caste who will usually initiate first contact with another species, and they are the forefront of negotiations to convert these races to the greater good, amalgamating many minor races into subservient members of the Tau Empire. Their ability to understand and emulate even obscure and bizarre alien languages borders on amazing, and allows them a vast degree of flexibility in their negotiations. The final caste, and one of the smallest but the most powerful, is the Yount caste, known as the Celestial Caste. This is the caste of the Ethereals, who serve as the true rulers of the Tau Empire, whilst the Water Caste serve as their administrators. No one knows the origins of the Ethereals, but the Tau agree that without them, they would have destroyed themselves long ago. The Ethereals serve the Tau as philosopher kings, combining political with spiritual duties, using their power to guide the other castes, shaping the Empire as they see fit to spread the greater good and protect the Tau from danger. Their aim is to lead both the Tau and their client species into a state of Tauva, the greater good, where each individual will act to preserve the whole and keep the Empire intact. The other Tau believe the Ethereals to act for the greater good so strongly that they will carry out any instruction immediately and without question if given to them by an Ethereal, even if that involves killing themselves or destroying a whole planet of apparently innocent citizens. The Ethereals rule from the Ethereal Council, which is controlled by the Ethereal Supreme, the highest ranking member of the Ethereal Caste and de facto ruler of the Tau Empire. Beneath the castes themselves are the client species of the Tau Empire, who are numerous and serve the will of the greater good whilst being ruled by the Tau and the Ethereal Caste. They will be mentioned in more detail in separate videos, but they make up many different species, including the Kroot, the Vespid, and humans. That's everything I have to mention on the caste system of the Tau today. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have a comment, please leave it in the comment section below or send me a private message. I will be next moving on to the Tyranids, returning to Hive Mind and discussing more about the Great Devourer. So I hope you've enjoyed today, and I will see you next time on the Vaults of Terra.